Hello, this is Maria from visasinportugal.com. Like I promised, today I'm going to do a video about the tax returns in Portugal. So if this is information you like, hit subscribe, say you love it, and we go from there. Okay, because I've got your back, you ask for, and today, tax return video only for you. Okay, so who has to submit a tax return in Portugal? Those who are tax residents in Portugal. And who is a tax resident in Portugal? Well, those who have a Portuguese tax number and a Portuguese address associated to that Portuguese tax number for more than 183 days in a civil year. What's a civil year? From January 1st till December 31st. So if in your case you are a resident of Portugal, when I say a resident and I don't say tax resident, that means that I'm referring to visas. You are a resident of Portugal, you immigrated to Portugal and you live your life in Portugal, but you don't have a Portuguese address associated to your NIF. You're not a tax resident in Portugal. So if you want to be a tax resident in Portugal, put a Portuguese tax address associated to your NIF. If you don't want to be a tax resident of Portugal, don't put a Portuguese address in your NIF. Keep the one in your home country, okay? Now, Maria, I am a tax resident of Portugal. I have a Portuguese address associated to my NIF. What now? Okay, so if for 183 days in 2025, you spend 183 days with that Portuguese address associated to your Portuguese tax number, you are a tax resident of Portugal, and you have from the 1st of April till the 30th of June to submit your tax return. Next question you ask, Maria, although I'm a tax resident of Portugal, I have an address for more than 183 days. I don't have anything to report. I don't receive any income. I have no salary. I didn't sell any property, so I don't have capital gains on that. I don't have stocks that I sold. I don't have crypto that I sold to fiat. I don't have any rent that I received because I don't hold any property. So I have nothing to declare. Do I still need to do a tax return? No. You don't. Some clients, if you wish, you need to do it. If you say, Maria, my country needs me to do a tax return every year. Although it's blank, I need to submit it. You can, in Portugal, you can submit a 0%, zero euros tax return. You can do that. But if you have nothing to declare and you don't want to do it, then don't. Okay, so if you say, Maria, I do receive a salary. What is the minimum that I don't have to submit a tax return? Well, it's the minimum wage. So if you do 920 euros every month times 12 or times 13, if it's below that number, you don't need to submit a tax return. Now, if you do transactions in crypto, even if it's like 100 euros, you need to do a tax return because of that transaction, okay? If you have stocks that you sold, even if it's 100 euros, you need to do that. If you have rent you receive, even if it's 100 euros, you need to do that tax return. So you need to submit that tax return, okay? Now, another question that I have, people ask me a lot, why does coffee shops, supermarkets, restaurants, everybody asks me for my NIF? Well, in Portugal, the government tells people to give their tax return. Why? Because then automatically all your expenses will go to the portal of the tax office under your name. So when you do your tax return, you just click a button, more or less like that. And because they have all the invoices, they can do all the deductions in case there are any. Okay, and there's also a big prize that the government gives to one selected tax number that gives their tax number all the time. Okay, that's one thing. Now I have a set of questions here that you always ask me because I have doubts of what you need me to tell. The tax return is such an extensive and complex subject that I could be here talking about it for hours. Okay, so I'm going to gather your questions and reply to all them. To them all. So am I required to report income earned in other countries? If you are a tax resident of Portugal, yes, you need to report that. Okay, then it depends if you are an NHR tax regime and how is that income going to be treated as one. So it's up to the tax regime that you are into. When and how do I file my tax return? The tax return is filed online and you have a period from the 1st of April till the 30th of June. I don't know if you check your calendar, it's coming soon, so you need to move fast. You need to submit that tax return. Can you submit a tax return after the 30th of June? Yes, you can, but you can pay a fine, okay? You will be eligible to pay a fine. Is there a difference between the IRS for non-residents in Portugal, immigrants, and for residents? Well, the difference is not if they are residents or not. The difference is if they are tax residents or not. If you are a tax resident, you need to submit a tax return. If you are not, you don't need to. Okay? You will submit a tax return in the country where you are a tax resident of. How do the tax brackets and rates work? Well, here we work as progressive, so it can go from 0 to 48%. And then the way you do it in Portugal, the government actually tells you to do that. You can do a simulation and see which one is better for you when you choose the better version of your tax return. So if you do an englobement, which means that you put all the expenses together and then you pay your taxes, you do a simulation of that to see if you pay less. Or you pay attachment by attachment. You do a capital gains attachment and you see how much you have to pay. You do an income attachment and you see how much you have to pay. And then you see if the total is less than if you do them all together, okay? We have that benefit here. If I don't have any income in Portugal, do I need to file a tax return? If you have nothing to declare, no, you don't need to do a tax return. You can do it if you want, but you don't need to. If I don't update my address, what are the consequences for the IRS purposes? There are none. The thing is, in Portugal, we have something that we call a tax representative, and they ask for that when you don't have an address in Portugal or when you don't contact the tax office to submit your address every time you change it. And you don't want to have a tax representative. There's no need for that. You can take care of your own taxes and be liable for your own taxes. And to update your address is not that difficult. You can go to the portal of the tax office and submit on e-balcão a request to change the address, okay? You can do everything online. I have financial income, interest, dividends that I deposited into accounts abroad. Do I have to report this income if you are a tax resident of Portugal? Yes, you do need to report that income, okay? I live abroad, but my family is in Portugal. Do I have to report my foreign income in Portugal and file an IRS tax return? If you live abroad and you are a tax resident of that country and not a tax resident of Portugal, you don't need to. How can I avoid double taxation in Portugal? Well, this is an interesting question. We have double tax agreements with so many countries. You just search online, double tax treaty between Portugal and Belgium, between Portugal and Australia, between Portugal and the USA. You can find that double tax treaty and find the best strategy for you. Okay? I hope I have answered all your questions. I hope this is a good video for you to watch. If I didn't answer all your questions, put them here in the comments. Let me know what questions you want me to answer about this subject of the tax return, and I will do it for you. Okay? If this is information you like, hit subscribe, say you love it, and we go from there. You know I've got your back. See you soon.